I am a professional caricature artist, and I draw people face to face at parties and events all over Florida. Sometimes I even add color to the drawings that I'm doing at events. And I also take some photos. And in this video, I'm going to take one of the photos that I took at the gig and draw it again to show you some of my method and what I'm thinking about as I draw people. Okay, for this next one, I'm drawing an older lady. And older people are a lot of fun to draw because it seems like the younger a person is, the more or less generic their face shape is. And then the older a person is, the more unique their face becomes. So that's the face shape that I see. Put the eyes in that area. And then the hair has its own shape. So that's my sketch. I've got the face shape and the hair shape. I'm just going to dive into it without any more sketch. Because this is more or less the way I would draw if I was drawing someone in person. Of course, if I'm at home in my studio, I may do a much more detailed sketch. So for the eyes, I'm looking for shapes. And her particular face, it seems like there's a lot of, I don't know how to describe it, like rhythms that fit together, or shapes that fit together. And I want to try to stylize this in a way that shows that. There's an artist I really like named Nolan Harris, and he does a lot of stylized shapes within faces. And I should have studied some of his drawings before doing this one, because I feel like this would be a perfect face for him to draw, if that makes any sense. So let's see. I'm looking for shapes in the eyebrow. And her eyebrow is light, but there's some shapes in there. Let me show you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing shapes like this. That's just to show you what I'm looking at. I'm trying to stylize those with straights and curves. And the hair is kind of flowing that way. She's looking straight forward, which is not something that I practice a lot. I practice a lot where people are looking in a 3/4 view, but it's best to get out of my comfort zone and draw something that's difficult for me, and that way I'm always growing. Interesting eye shapes. And I think I messed up and drew that eye bigger than the other eye. Oh well. Also, when I'm coloring in this pupil, I'm starting black and then I'm just using lines to fade it that makes any sense. Spacing the lines out. Okay, now this eyebrow is definitely different than the other one. That's another thing I look for, is asymmetrical type shapes. If I'm just looking at the eyebrow, I'm seeing this type of shape. And this is a good way to practice just with a minimal sketch and then diving into it. I mean, there are some artists that, or there's a lot of artists that when they're drawing live, they use no sketch at all. And sometimes I do that, but if I mess up and I do a bad drawing, having used no sketch, then I chicken out on the next drawing and I do a sketch again. But one thing I don't do is when I'm drawing someone live, I don't do an incredibly detailed sketch with the eyes, nose, and mouth and all these details. I just do the face shape, the hair shape, and start drawing. Because it's just a totally different situation where you are getting paid by the hour to draw as many people as possible. So if you do a full detailed sketch, you're basically just doing the drawing twice. And it's going to take you twice as long. And you're only going to be able to draw half as many people. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you may not know, or I don't know if you're a professional artist or not, or you know about the industry, but most professional artists, when they're drawing at parties, the rate starts at $100 an hour. And then it goes up from there, sometimes $150 an hour to draw people at parties using this method of drawing. And there are artists, I mean, I can do an average about 15 people per hour, but I have a friend who can do 20 in an hour. And so if you're getting paid $100 an hour and you're only going to be there 3 hours, you really don't have time to sketch every detail of the person. You're just trying to get it in one shot, a good drawing. And that's why it helps to have a method of knowing what you're drawing first and second, what you're drawing next. And that's what I try to do. A couple of details. Now, to add age, there are wrinkle lines around the eyes. Every wrinkle you add adds a couple of years of age. And these smile lines, and there's some lines down here by the chin. I like to leave out a lot of these lines, and the more that you add, I mean, the more, the older the person is going to look. And so it's up to you. But if I'm sitting face to face with the person, I want them to be super happy with their drawing, so I put in the minimal amount of lines that's necessary to get a good drawing. And here we go. Get the chin on there. Okay, now the right cheek. I mean, this is the most interesting part about our faces, the shape of the face. So I'm wondering if I can do something interesting with that. Let's try this. I'm going to concentrate for 1 second. I don't know if that's good or not. Okay, now we'll add the neck. The hairline. This is the fun part, adding the hair, because you can't mess up. I mean, you don't want to be messy. And by messy, what I mean by that is to have crisscrossing lines. You want all your lines to flow together and not be all crisscrossing and scribbly. But just so you know, when I do these events, last year, which was 2022, I did 99 events. So that's averaging almost two a week for 50 weeks of the year. 99 events, and my goal is to do 100. Because it's always good to have a goal to shoot for. I know if I do 100 gigs, then I'm going to be making plenty of money and paying the bills, if you know what I mean. So, I don't know, you might find that interesting. I have friends of mine that do more than 100 gigs a year. And I have friends that do just a few gigs a year. And by the way, that's what we call it, is a caricature gig. I mean, the client may call it their birthday party or their wedding or, you know, their corporate employee appreciation night. But the artists themselves, within ourselves, we call it a caricature gig. All right, so now we're going to do this. I'm just trying to get smooth lines and interesting shapes, but more or less follow what the photo is showing. And I'm definitely trying to get the alternating curves, like it's curving this way and then switches back the other way. Anytime I see that in the photo, if it like naturally occurs, I try to exaggerate it. See right here, I got a crisscross line. If I do that too much, it kind of looks messy and haphazard. And then we can draw like the line of her shirt to finish it off. There it is. Okay, just for fun, I'm going to color this in. And on my last caricature gig, when I drew this lady and colored her, I used these Ohuhu markers, and I did the shadow with one of these Ohuhu markers. And I just did some basic shadow around the eyes and shadow that might be under the nose and chin. And then I used Prismacolor art sticks to color in the flat tones. So at that point I just took a piece of the this flesh tone art sticks and I just put flat color over it, and because I'd already put in the shadows with the marker, it looked pretty good and went pretty fast. And I don't normally do that. That was like only the second time that I used that method, and it worked pretty good. But because I'm in the studio now, I am going to do it again, but with more detail. I think that does it. I think it came out pretty good. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.